Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Knights of the Turntable. This is the 33rd episode. We never thought we'd make it this far. With me, I have Joe Hova.
Hey.
Richard Bailey.
What's up?
And AJ.
Hit him with the swag. How you doing?
We do not have Blue with us. Sadly, I guess he has some.
Can we hit the Luis
Yeah.
the dance hall air horn?
In his honor.
In honor of Blue's absence, we would like to.
You gotta hit it like the dance hall air horn though. You gotta hit it like.
Let's go ahead and jump into what we've all been listening to as of late. We will start off with AJ.
So AJ's been on the thorough path of Outkast recently. However, I have jumped back into some underground music, which this is sad, but it's the truth, man. I went looking for Chameleonaire's mixtapes, so I listened to a lot of those recently this week, but I also got back into some of the other artists of Houston that I listened to before I left Houston. So I've been listening to Zero and Slim Thug to see what they put out recently and what they put out since I've been gone. So I just caught back up on their catalogs this week.
Okay, word up. Jehovah.
Mick Jenkins, The Waters again. Played that at the gym the other night. Dom Kennedy by Dom Kennedy. We just did a first impression for that, so check that out. It's up on the YouTube page and stuff. There was something else. There was another album I had listened to, but I can't recall right now. So yeah, that's it.
Oh, that means it wasn't good.
Possibly not. Me personally, I've been listening to Surf, more Surf, Tokyo's Dot Wave Theory, To Pimp a Butterfly, and more Surf. It's just been in the constant rotation.
I listen to Surf. Mentioned that. Sorry.
Word. Richard Bailey.
Oh yeah, a little bit of the same. Some more Snoop. I tried to listen to some more Surf. Yeah, it's good. Listen to some more, Kendrick Lamar, of course. I actually, funny thing, I find it very funny, AJ, you listening to Outkast, because I was listening to them as well. Yeah, but that's pretty much it.
It's because the realness is within you, brother.
AJ,
when does Rich not ever listen to Outkast?
Hey, Outkast.
When Nas is dropping a new album.
Yeah.
What were you about to say, Joe?
AJ, what's that line that you say that I can't say?
Because every nigga is a star.
Yeah, you gotta say it more soulful, like the song, like they sing, you know.
And you know
yes.
Wait. I want to segue because that was a good segue moment.
Okay.
Say it one more time, AJ.
It's because every nigga is a star.
Except for these niggas on this XXL Freshman cover. Let's go ahead and jump into this.
The cannon.
The new XXL 2015 Freshman Class has been announced. Let me go through the list real quick.
Can we just say that it's June now, and this list used to come out in March?
Maybe they had some issues getting this shit together.
Ooh, can we also say that my predictions were coming true because AJ's pretty fucking awesome?
Yeah, you got the prediction right, but you have a problem with his hairdo, though, right? We'll get to that. Let me list these people off. We got Des Loaf, we've got Fetty Wap, Gold Link, K-Camp, OG Mako, I don't even know, I get it wrong every time. OG Mako, Rari, Shy Glizzy, Tink, Vince Staples, and the fan-voted 10th spot goes to Kid, which we were all wrong on that one.
Yes, every last one of us.
Kid been rapping since before I was in college.
Well, I guess they
probably
had to
this is the consultation vote.
Pretty much. But AJ, go ahead and voice your issues.
Alrighty, so I have 4 points to mention. First off, I'm going to say honorably that I'm so glad that Tink was on there because I do like Tink as far as quality goes. Secondly, Fetty Wap has one functioning eye. Thirdly,
Word. Thanks for the observation.
yeah. Thirdly, K Camp was on there. I was very excited about that because I figured he would be on that list. I like what he did last year, right? And fourth, last but not least, OG Macko was on there, and that was who I voted. Now, to summarize all of this, why the fuck are niggas putting highlights in their hair? Listen, dark skin and blonde hair is dark. It doesn't work because that's not what you were made to do. Every nigga is a star except for the niggas that blonde and dye their hair.
Yo, even Future said that he put too much blonde in his hair and he went too pop.
Yeah, but he also lost Sierra. So that's that. I mean, you got to live with those decisions, dog.
Well, he also said he went blonde because he's bougie, so maybe OG Mako's bougie now.
Well, OG Maker, no, he was just trying to be in every like professional way that I can be. He was trying to be that nigga, and it didn't work. He was like, "Hey, I'm finna try and I'm finna be on the cover. I got to do something new. Let me throw some shit in my head. Maybe it'll look cool." Hell, dog.
Is his hair more blonde than Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man?
Hey, but he was nowhere near as badass as Wesley Snipes in Demolition Man, though. So.
Hey, I'm sorry, but he had a bitch you guessed it.
But this Demolition Man, though.
Yeah, I guarantee you he yells louder than Wesley Snipes in that movie, though.
That's true. Hey, the only thing I remember about Demolition Man is like when the tire went flat, they got a new tire. We need that technology, dog.
You a fool. All right, Richard Bailey, what do you think about the Get Off Your Lawn cover? Because you probably hate all of these dudes.
Get off that lawn cover.
Damn, we be shooting shots from afar, dog.
But no, like, all right. So, Rich, how many of these artists have you listened to?
I know Tank. I've heard the one song that you've had me listen to from Tank. Good song. I know Vince Staples, some of his work.
Oh, I forgot he's on there. That's like the tale of his like career. I forget that he exists.
Yeah, that's probably the last one.
Even though his EP was good though. Good.
Yeah. And of course Vic Mensa. I also know some of his stuff.
Wait, Vic's not. He doesn't count as one of the freshmen.
No, he was off on the sidebar. He's not on the list.
Oh, he's not.
No, he was off on the. Because that confused me too because they had like Gucci Man, Vic Mensa, and it was like all in like the same little area, and I'm just like,
yeah, because Bobby Shmurda on there too, and I'm like, this is confusing. But
well,
nah, those fellas don't count.
Well, I will say this right now. I don't know most of these people on this list. Not surprisingly, of course. But there are some others that damn well should have been on the list. I'll let you when we get into that discussion. But looking at who's on this list, it's like, okay, well, I'm not impressed.
But OG Macro was there.
Yeah. And who the hell is that?
Bitch, you can.
You guessed it.
Huh?
Joe Hoven.
You was right. So I don't really have a problem with the list because this was actually one of the weaker freshman classes that we've had in a few years at least. To see Tink on there, Dej Low, Fetty Wap, they all had strong years. Fetty Wap just blew up out of nowhere. Dej Low came out of nowhere last year. So they they had strong runs. I was disappointed that Mick Jenkins wasn't on there. I knew OG Mako was going to get on there. I knew K Camp was going to get on there. So I was hyped when I saw K Camp on there. Rari, I haven't listened to much of his music, so I don't really know much about him. Vince Staples, I don't get his hype. His EP put me to sleep.
Woo!
So I don't know, but maybe it's because he sounds like Freck Billionaire, and I could never get into Freck Billionaire's music, so maybe that's that's it for me, and I need to go back and listen to it. But overall, I think for the talent that we had to choose from this year, I think they got it about 85% right.
I guess when you look at the large pool of artists or small pool of artists that they really had to pull from, I guess I have to agree with you there. But with that being said, it's confusing how they miss Mick Jenkins when that pool is so small.
Mm-hmm.
Like that part I definitely do not understand.
And my thing was like Shmurda. Like Shmurda had the biggest rap hit last year.
He also took his ass straight to jail.
we we were talking before the show started, and we said if Shmurda made the list, they'd have to Photoshop him onto the picture, and because we're terrible people, obviously.
Clearly.
So, but yeah, like Mick Jenkins being on there is that's a crime. A lot of people were upset that Alex Wiley wasn't on the list too.
But that wasn't realistically going to happen.
Yeah.
Sadly, like his follow. What'd you say?
Because OG Maco was on there.
Okay. My personal thoughts on it. Of course, I had an issue with Mick Jenkins not being on there. I felt like he should have been a lock easily. It would have been. It was wishful thinking to think that Alex Wiley would make it on there. But I'm perfectly fine with him not being on there. I'm very happy that Tink made it. That's probably like the biggest plus for me in this particular group. I've never listened to Gold Link or Rory, so I don't know. I don't have a.
Thank you for mentioning that because yes, you have. Yes, and I'm glad you said that. Do you recall? I played the song for you a couple of times in the car, dog. Oh God, tell them to the squad. I played that song, and that's what I wanted. Huh?
Which person is that?
That's Goldlink. That's what I was saying. That, and I'm so sorry I missed mentioning that. But Goldlink, I was glad to see his name was mentioned because I feel as though that motherfucker go off. Goldlink deserved to be on that list. He is high quality. That's that song I played for you in the car, and I'll play it for you again if you do not recall.
I remember that song. Yes.
I think he's a very good artist that, like, I like OG Maco because he had that hype and shit like that, but Goldlink is actual quality.
Okay. I'll have to listen to more of it because that one particular song wasn't terrible. What about Rory? Does he have like a popular single that I may know or no?
I'm going to hit you with the shoulders on that one.
So you don't know that one, Joe?
Rory has like this, it's like I've only heard like one or two songs, and it's not like he can rhyme, but it's over like some somber ambient beats, kind of. So, I mean, okay. He's another one like I was kind of confused on. And Shy Glizzy, I mean, he had that awesome song last year that just freaking took over out of nowhere too towards the end of the summer.
What was it called?
It's called I'm So Awesome.
Okay.
Swish, right. I'm ballin'.
It actually don't ring a bell for me at all.
Really?
I may have to hear it, and I may recognize the beat.
That means you're not keeping up with the Twitters, because that's the only time I've ever heard that goddamn song. I'm so fucking awesome. Yeah, I'm so awesome. That's all it is. It's for Twitter. That shit wasn't on radio play down here.
No, right. that was on radio play here. I heard it on the radio all the time here. Yeah. But it's probably because it's closer to DC because that's where he's from.
Oh.
Were there any other glaring exemptions from the list? People that y'all wish would have been on there?
Starlito. If Kid can make it, Starlito deserves it.
Word. Rich?
You already said Mick Jenkins.
Word, AJ?
That's the big one.
I just wish niggas would actually allow their hairs to be black.
Word. Let's go ahead and jump into the next topic. High snobiety. Is that right?
High snobiety.
High snobiety. Shouts out to them. They did an article on the 5 ways that Odd Future has changed hip hop forever. And a lot of the times when you see articles like that, it's a bunch of BS. But Odd Future has had a pretty significant influence on hip hop and the ongoings and the perception and even the fans. But we'll take each one by one and get y'all's perspective on each thing. We'll start with the change of scene, where they're talking about how before they came on, it was all pussy, money, and weed, and that they brought a completely different flavor to it. So, you know, the beginning of their run on a popular level was Yonkers by
Tyler.
Tyler, the Creator. But AJ, you want to start it off?
Okay. I just want to dive in and say that the one point that I so personally and closely relate to is the not giving a fuck attitude.
No. Wait, we're going one by one through each one of the 5 things. Don't jump ahead.
Oh, okay. Well, what was the first thing? I'm sorry. I apologize. Let me just start with the first one. Okay. Yes, the Pussy Money Weed. They stated that Pussy Money Weed was what they began rapping about, and then it evolved eventually into shit about not having parents and things like that. Like, there's this song that Tyler has, and I'm going to only like relate to Tyler because I haven't really listened to Earl and like the rest of them, right? But like Tyler, the Creator, man, he has this song with like for real produced it and whatever. It's called Tamale. Like Tamale, 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 dog. I watched. Okay, so I referenced this song simply because it's gonna go back into what I'm gonna eventually circle it 360 into when Charles gives me permission to mention it. However, the video of this song at the end has reference to another song that was on the album Wolf, if I'm correct. Fuck. I Hope You Answer. There we go. I think it's I Hope You Answer. That shit right there was like bareback, unedited truth of like how someone feels, and if you've listened to anything I've ever said on this fucking podcast, that is what I like to hear out of music. It was the realization of this is what's going on in life, this is what caused it, and if this situation was to occur, I wish that this would happen. If you haven't heard that song, please, please, please listen to it because I fucking love that song. It's basically talking about, you know, he says that his dad was this and this and that, and he was never there and he never did for him, and he explains the situation. But if he were to pick up the phone, he just like hopes that he answers so he could like hear this shit out. I love that shit. And that's coming from Tyler, the Creator, which is really kind of the brunt exposure that I've had to that long ass name that they have.
Future Wolfgang killed them all.
No, it doesn't stop at kill them all. Look, you spit the rest of it. It's like kill them all, fuck school, bitch niggas, fuck them in the ass, something like that.
I've never heard that one.
No, go to the website. Like, I'll go right now while we're on this podcast. The name was long as fuck, and it was pretty funny.
Word. Jehovah.
You know, it's like you said, the whole pussy money weed aspect of hip hop, like that was kind of taken over at that time, and they came in and they did it with a punk rock attitude. So they like just their style was just, it was gritty and in your face. And if you didn't like it, you didn't like it. But if you loved it, you absolutely loved those kids. A lot of people compared them to early Eminem because of how blunt they were and with their lyrics and
that was an easy comparison to make for sure.
Because of how M was when he first bust on the scene, you know, talking about killing and you know, and all that kind of shit. But yeah, it was a good change of pace, and it birthed an entire, I don't want to say an entire generation, but it birthed some artists out of that because they saw that, you know, they had this alternative style that people in hip hop liked, and so they were able to do it.
True that. Richard Bailey, how do you feel about Future coming onto the scene and changing things?
Hey, I very much admire their work. As far as the comment they made about the, you know, everybody rapping about pussy, money, and weed, let me go ahead and say right now, they still rap about that a little bit. Okay, we're not going to say they completely changed it. They just a little bit more sophisticated about how they do this stuff. Because, again, let's take Tyler's most recent album. He talks about old school music influences. He has them on the album. So it shows that he has appreciation for quality music that was out back in the day.
Right.
trying to take a much more sophisticated approach and not just straight up saying, "Oh yeah, I'm trying to smash this, I'm trying to smash that." No, you're trying to, be a little bit more respectable with the message and the music. And as far as the videos, I agree. They was talking about the way that they market the videos. Like that video for "Fucking Young" is awesome.
Yeah. Well, you were talking about that. He also says that, girl, you too fucking young for him to talk to. So go ahead.
Yeah, well, hey, listen, I'll tell you right now, I relate to that song because I have a lot of women that I have talked to in the past. It's about an age thing. I say, all right, and I would avoid them because, yeah, I would think I'm a little bit too old for them. So, yeah.
Word. I definitely co-sign them changing up the scene. There's gonna be a whole lot more that kind of that kind of fall into the same space as changing the scene that we'll get more detailed about for sure. But I definitely agree with them having the Eminem comparisons. I was big into Hobson at that time too, and Tyler reminded me a lot of him, which Hobson was more horrorcore than anything, and Tyler kind of came in that way. He's not completely set on that still, but he still has kind of like that Eminem's type of humor and stuff with his lyricism. But like AJ pointed out, he does get into some really, really serious stuff. Or not, it's not even like super serious, it's just very honest.
Yeah, just go back and listen to like VCR and Wheels. Like just that split track is like amazing.
Yeah. It was just super authentic and honest, and you can tell that that's kind of like the foundation of their energy when it comes to everything, which that can lead into our next one, the do-it-yourself punk aesthetic, which I think they're kind of talking about how they gain mass appeal in a grassroots manner for the most part with this I don't give a shit about the fame and stuff. As a matter of fact, they had a line quoted, fuck the fame and all the hype, G, I just want to know if my father would ever like me, which goes into even more what AJ was talking about. But how do you feel about their kind of rise to fame and their do-it-yourself punk aesthetic, AJ?
Firstly, I want to state this was the full name that was mentioned in the beginning of the article. It's Odd Future Wolfgang Kill 'Em All Don't Give a Fuck Loiter Life or Litter Life Bacon Boys Loiter Squad Butt Fuck Bitch Niggas. Right? That was the full name.
All right.
So, in reference to how I feel about them developing their own way of self-promotion, I'm from Houston, and my favorite artist, regardless of status in the rap game, is Chamillionaire, right? Chamillionaire was what y'all define today as a backpack rapper and motherfucker selling CDs out of the backpack. That's what he was. When I was going to barbershops, when I was just like a regular motherfucker going to get my hair cut up, you would see Chamillionaire out there in the parking lot selling his CDs and shit like that, right? Like him and Paul Wall would be there. These people that are like their names to be known now, right? I just say this as reference to Chamillionaire because if you know the history of him and Paul Wall, Chamillionaire, like from bootstraps to fame, brought himself up from selling CDs in the trunk to getting signed by a major label to getting signed by Universal to like doing things, right? I respect it. To the utmost level of respect, I respect what they've done because they haven't done anything like, hey, let's go and sign some fucking names on here and get somebody to promote us. No, it's all basically, hey, let's get on Twitter and do what we do, act an ass and shit like that, and people will follow. If you build it, they will come, and that is what they've done.
That is definitely what they've done.
Kind of copied that same style is ASAP, because nobody knew who Rocky was before the Tumblr, and the Tumblr was ran. I think it was Yams or Ferg was running the Tumblr, and that's how they got Rocky on.
Yeah, our future definitely opened the lane wide open for ASAP, for the whole ASAP mob and stuff. And for a short time, I saw that ASAP was trying to emulate Odd Future a lot, and I didn't get the connection because I never felt they were as appealing as personalities on their side, and they kind of stopped that now because I guess it's like ASAP Ferg, he had his buzz and he disappeared, but Odd Future found a way to maintain their energy because And that actually will go into the next topic. But Rich, how do you feel about the current one? Current topic.
Listen, you're gonna have to repeat that because it's too many distractions. People trying to start a conversation with me and distract me from doing what
they're trying to start one with me too.
Yeah, man. I mean, what's going on? What's going on? Okay, so you talking about the punk aesthetic?
Yes.
Okay. Well, this more so is talking about the image that they portray. I'm a little confused.
It's talking about kind of their
the do-it-yourself approach.
Yeah, they did it themselves, built up their energy just off of not conforming, basically.
Oh, okay, yeah. All right, well, yeah. Well, I think this plays a lot into what will be the next topic, because yeah, do it yourself approach. I think that they definitely deserve to be rewarded for that, and I agree with that because they didn't really. I mean, they saw what a lot of other rappers were doing with the way that they approach music, and they wanted to try and switch it up. Not really. They don't really give. There's no way I can't talk about this without talking about the next topic. So I'll probably come by. I have a lot more to say when you get to the next topic.
Word, Jehovah.
And they did it all independently too. Like that's the thing. It's like, and I know that that's going into the next topic as well. But Tyler's albums were on like XL Records, and XL Records, they had Adele's 21 album too. So it's like I mean, they did numbers, but it's still a small label and shit. But I loved it, and that's the thing. Going back to my previous statement, it opened the door for, like I said, about like ASAP Mob and stuff. It opened the door with like the whole Tumblr stuff and the whole do-it-yourself aspect of it. But it opened the door a lot wider than ASAP Mob because that was about the time that, I don't want to say that's the time that blogs started taking off, but that's the time that everybody started having a blog.
Yeah.
And all these rappers decided that, all these people decided that they were going to rap. Because I remember when I was doing posts in 2010, 2011, I didn't have that many posts because I was just starting out too, so that probably played into it. But I don't remember seeing as many rappers and artists as I do in the last 2 years.
Yeah, it's kind of a staple thing to have some kind of blog for yourself at this point.
Yeah.
Charles Hamilton was probably the first one to really do that, though.
Mm-hmm.
And he kind of did it before it was popular. And I think he still maintains his. But a lot of the Odd Future stuff, in my experience, their popularity was by word of mouth.
Mm-hmm.
And that just continued to climb up the ladder because, like, for example, Frank Ocean. I found out about Frank Ocean actually via a Lupe Fiasco tweet. Like he tweeted out the whatever that project was that he put out, that little mixtape thing.
Nostalgia Ultra.
Yeah, because like I knew about Odd Future, but I didn't know all of the pieces. And Lupe tweeted out Nostalgia Ultra, the album. It didn't say anything about it, just tweeted it out. And I was like, let me just check this out. And I started listening, and I was like, this is fire as hell. And then it was so different from what I'd heard from Odd Future because I'm hearing Yonkers and stuff like that.
Well, that's the thing is like he wasn't technically Odd Future until he had a buzz.
Or like did he not claim them before?
Nope.
Nope. He came after because I remember watching them on Fallon, and that was the only reason I ever tuned into Fallon was I saw Odd Future was going to be on there doing Yonkers and Sandwiches. And I was like, hell yes. And that was way before Frank.
He was wasn't Frank after he had that controversy and shit.
Which is wait, what?
Well, after he had a situation occur with him or whatever, after he got a little he was later in their existence.
Which situation?
Nothing.
All right, so that's news to me as far as Frank goes because I thought he was featured on the album that Yonkers was on. I thought he was already on that album.
He was the next one. He was on the next.
He was on the next one. Okay.
Because he was on
cool.
She.
Okay. Cool.
Right. That's the song.
Word. Well, that's interesting for sure, and that makes sense because he's so different from the rest of them.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. I have to look into that because I thought I thought it was part of it from Jump Street. But that's very interesting. But still, even then, the rest of our future, they all have their appeal, and traveling by word of mouth in so many different directions, and then it all comes together. I think that's just kind of like them as
Well,
far as like,
what helped them too is that was the time that Twitter took off. Like Twitter
yeah,
had been around for a couple of years, but that's about the time 2010, 2011ish was like right
when
when
it really
Twitter was
blew up.
like catching flames, and that's how they took off.
Gotcha. Cool. Let's go ahead and go into the next piece. They don't give a fuck. I know AJ wants to jump right on into this one. Go
Oh
ahead,
no,
sir.
no. I'm gonna leave it as simple as this. This is the one that I more closely relate to in life because I, to the T, live my life with the I don't give a fuck attitude. So when I saw something like this and you would see the things that they put up in the most genuine of senses of not giving a fuck, like, I love it. I don't love many things in this world, but I love not giving a fuck.
Word. Um, we've talked about the whole I don't give a fuck culture. Me and Joe have at least. And
Hmm.
one thing that it's there's an art to it. Basically, that's gonna be a weird thing to say, but there's an art to not giving a fuck. And in our future, especially Tyler, we've seen the interviews with him. He doesn't give a fuck about things that you really shouldn't be wasting your energy on. And he gives a fuck about things like, expressing your individuality and stuff like that, and basically not conforming or following behind people or trying to reach a certain level of cool by some societal standards. And that's kind of like I've always talked about with our future. I swear it's like they're always having fun. Nothing they ever do seems forced.
Nope.
They're always having fun and they're always being themselves, no matter what. Rich.
Yeah, I mean, what you just said that took the words out of my mouth. I was going to say, yeah, I know he does talk about a lot of important things. What I got the most out of some of his more recent interviews, basically, he's talking about trying to be influential to tell people that they need to go after what they want in life. Because the last interview he had, he talked about when he started out. Now he recalls he only had about $20 in his pocket, took a flight to New York, went out there and really got into the scene and decided that he wanted to really pursue this music a little bit more seriously.
Right.
And the funny thing about it is that, like I say, the most recent album, that he dropped, Cherry Bomb. I mean, a lot of those are the same messages. Like the song about flying away, that's the same stuff he talked about in that interview. Because he talked about being in two dead-end jobs and that he felt that he was better than those jobs, and he pretty much went out there and pursued music, got away from them. So that's a message that a lot of people, I think a lot of people will feel connected to, those that may be in jobs where they know that they don't really want to be there, or they know maybe it's a temporary situation. But basically to let them know that while they are here with the time they have, they should definitely look forward to doing stuff that they actually want to do, embrace life and have fun, and again, not conforming to whatever you need to do just to get by because society tells you that's all you're gonna ever make of your life. So
Word.
what you said about being an art form, 100% accurate. Because yeah, he is basically doing it with his music now.
Word. Joe.
Kill people, burn shit, fuck school. I mean, like those were song lyrics. So if you think that they cared about what you thought about them, they didn't. And like they were aggressively like in your face. Like I remember that's the only time I've listened to hip hop since I was like in 6th grade. That was the only time I ever felt uncomfortable listening to hip hop was when I first heard Odd Future, and it's because it was just so brash and they did not care. But
Mhm.
eventually, I came around to liking it because it's like we were talking about. They express themselves, they have fun in a way that like you don't see artists having fun anymore. It's like they're so thankful grateful for like that they get to do this for a job.
Yeah.
You know? So yeah, it's just they didn't give a fuck at all.
Word. And then the next one, where they're talking about music was always just the beginning. One of the I don't see as many interviews with the other guys, but the Tyler interview with Tavis Smiley, I think he was talking about how he wanted to have his hands in everything, fucking interior design and clothing and just every single thing. They have the Loiter Squad show on Adult Swim, which that features more so guys that don't even do music,
Jasper,
but it does
and
have
Taco,
Tyler.
and Lionel.
Right, so it's like, and then a lot of people talk about putting their whole team on. It's been more evident with Odd Future than I think with anyone, because everybody has like some kind of outlet on a major level. Because this isn't just like they have a YouTube channel with Taco and them on there on doing random videos,
Like they're
which they
on
do,
Adult Swim.
and they have Instagram. They have Adult Swim on lock. And before that, I think Tyler and somebody else even did voiceovers for some characters in another show.
Wasn't it like Andre 3000's cartoon on Cartoon Network?
It may have been him, because I think it was him and Childish Gambino did a voice on that show too, whatever show it was.
Class of 3000.
Okay, I was agreeing. And it's cool that they've been pushing to do all of these different things, and not only do them, but to do them successfully as well. But Joe, how do you feel about that?
Tyler's always said, like, if you even go back to interviews, like back in the day, like he's always said that he doesn't want to just do music, and I think that's the same for a lot of them. I'm not sure about Earl or or maybe even Haji, but I know for sure Tyler. He wants to score movies. He wants to do every single thing that he can because he's the type of person that, like, you show him something and he wants to know how to do it. So I think that that's really cool that they want to branch out. And, like, I would listen to a movie that he scored because his musical cadences and his melodies, they have improved drastically from.
Uh-oh. Audio cut out. Did we lose Joe?
They haven't improved drastically from AOL.
Asshole. All right, Richard Bailey, what did you think about it? About their various ventures?
I agree with that. Yeah, man, it is impressive. Going back to what you said about the interview that he had with Tavis Smiley. And he talked about, he says that he thinks he's a genius. Yeah, I mean, he's done a lot of smart things thus far, still young, and has accomplished so much that a lot of people wish they could accomplish. But again, the Cartoon Network stuff, awesome. Never would have thought it would go in that direction because, again, I know that you guys mentioned earlier that, a lot of the other people in that group aren't doing music. I don't really know what some of the other guys are doing outside of that. But, yeah, I agree. What he's doing right now is very smart, trying to go after multiple things, not just music, because he can do a lot of stuff. And then, like I say, he produced that video we talked about earlier, so that shows that he can also do film stuff as well. So, yeah, I could definitely see him pursuing other things, and I think that it's good for them to have that, so music is not the only thing that they're taking over right now.
Word. AJ.
I don't use the term love for a lot of things, but I love the way that they approach life because I sincerely and wholeheartedly agree with that way because that's how I live my life. I give zero fucks about anyone's opinions, and that's the way that they are, man. But they've done so much more. I feel as though they've maximized on the opportunities that have been presented to them. So I respect that, and I love it.
Word up, word up. Joe, did you want to add anything since you had cut out?
No, I mean I was essentially done. So if you missed the last two words, you didn't miss anything.
Gotcha. All right, so on this one, this is the last one and the big one. Working with and not for record labels. And I'll let you start this off, Joe.
Yeah, and it goes back to what I was saying about how Tyler was on like XL and like if you read the article, it talks about them like collaborating with Sony, I think it is. Was that the one?
I think it is.
And they did it the whole DIY route, and then they didn't. So an artist gets hot, like say like right now Fetty Wap is hot. He's probably the hottest hip hop artist going right now. And he's going to sign to a record label at some point instead of staying independent. Well, now he's going to have to make all these bullshit-ass songs, and he's going to sit on the shelf for a while because he, doesn't meet the requirements. Odd Future didn't have to do that because they had built the hype. They'd done the groundwork. They didn't need a label. A label needed them. And that's the way a lot of people have been doing hip-hop now. Like if you for example, Macklemore and Ryan Lewis, they're still technically indie, even though the Heist won Grammys and shit. So it's,
same way.
It's a whole TDE was the same way for a while. It's just they changed the aspect of that needing a record label.
Yeah, and reading this article made me think about it all TDE and the fact that they still made it and kept it. But I had to realize Odd Future is probably the ones that started that and paved the way for that level of popularity. Because just like in the article, they were talking about how these guys did so many good albums. So true. TDE was kind of in the same boat. Everything was in house. So, and then with that, and artists like Chance, I hope that continues. That wave continues.
Mm-hmm.
That Odd Future starts, and people, because you're noticing with these people, because look at these artists that get popular and sign these deals. We don't hear from later very, very often. It's very rare that they have, but you can tell Odd Futures, they've been here for a while. High profile when TDE picks up artists. Everybody was trying to figure out, they had SZA and Isaiah Rashad, and that's independent that they have that kind of buzz, which is super dope to me.
Mm-hmm.
But AJ.
I feel as though the less restraints you have, the more creative you can be, which has been shown by Odd Future and TDE, just the labels that you've mentioned or the groups that you've mentioned. So I really like it. I really like what's been done so far.
Word up, Rich.
Yeah. Man, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but I think it's pretty obvious that, just like when you talk about when you're working with a label, that they can sometimes you can change as a person. They can make you do things you don't necessarily want to do. I think a lot of this stuff is what Kendrick was talking about in To Pimp a Butterfly, about all the temptations and stuff that you get when you do get into the industry and you don't really have a lot of creative freedom, or maybe you started getting the mindset that you need to do this, that, or other. But you also have to work within the confines of whatever contract your label you're signed underneath. So again, yeah, the fact that they do have a following does allow them more creativity. They have a lot of fans. You'd be surprised. People on the internet, and again, take the album that Tyler just released once again, Cherry Bomb. This album came out of nowhere, and it's like, man, everybody was talking about it. Not really having to do anything type of, didn't have to put out a schedule as to tell you when it's coming. It just dropped out of nowhere, and pretty much from what I understand, it was a success. So, yeah, I just think, you have a lot of freedom. And again, everything that they listed on that article totally lines up with their whole personality, their persona, the way that they approach everything. So it makes perfect sense that it would be mentioned.
Word. Anybody got last words? Go
Yeah, I
ahead.
just say that momentarily, in the moment that you surprised me with, "Hey AJ, you want to go?" I forgot what I was gonna say, so I said that bullshit line. But the point that I wanted to make, the point that I actually wanted to make was Katy Perry. I know this is random as fuck, but Katy Perry in an interview mentioned that the song "I'm Not Gonna Write You a Love Song," right? That was because it was mandated by her record label, and she was referring to her record label in that song, right? She wasn't gonna write a love song for the record label because they wanted her to do that.
That's Sarah Bareilles.
What the fuck ever? Whoever wrote that goddamn song?
Okay,
So, my bad. Whoever wrote that fucking song, right? I was listening to the interview. They said, "Hold on, I get a womp womp because I don't remember who the soft ass
You
song
had
was."
to get it. You had to get it, man. We all got to experience it.
Well, damn, Joe, you couldn't send me a text or something. You had to just do me like that on air. All right. Anyway, as I was saying, whoever wrote that motherfucking song that I was just referring to right then,
Sarah Bareilles.
stated that they weren't going to do it for their label. That's why they created the song, right? And I just felt as though that's one of the fucking problems when you have things that are, and this goes back to, I think I made this in prior episodes. When you try to infuse it with money, when the record label or the artist is motivated by money and not the passion for the art, the creativity and the love for the music, when it's just, I'm trying to get a fucking check so that I can get out of here and get this stupid shit that I want, that's when you fuck up the game. So she kept it pure because, yeah, she produced what they wanted in the way that they wanted, but she was still creative with it. If you didn't have the label in reference to producing a song, making an album and shit like that, you get what we have as far as independent artists, which is why I think we can all agree independent and underground artists are some of the most creative musical people that are putting out rap music and music in general nowadays, because they don't have the restraints of, you can only release this and we want it by this date. They don't have to rush albums. They don't have to clear samples. They don't have to do the things that are limited by the money and shit like that. And that's the kind of music that I love. Like, a lot of this public music it's really good, don't get me wrong, because they put like, when you do get an original beat, they infuse it with fucking like original samples and shit like that are samples, but some of the greatest lyrics and some of the best music is being produced underground, and you can never contest that, because it's just, the proof is in the pudding.
Word. I'm glad you remembered your statement there, because you had plenty to say.
Yeah, I know, right?
Before you went
bullshit ass. I have to. Hey, go ahead, go to Rich.
Anybody else with last words on this?
Nah, I'm good.
All right, cool. So we've talked about the XXL Freshman. We've talked about our future. I want y'all to hit the comment section and let us know what you think about those last two topics before we jump into this final one. We're going to talk about the sophomore slump, or sophomore jinx, as Hip Hop DX called it. They talked about 15-second albums that outdid a great debut. Now, we're going to talk about whether we agree with them first, and then we're going to talk about albums that should have made this list. So, to throw out a few that they listed, A$AP's recent album was considered better than his first. Cadillactica from Big Crit was considered better. To Pimp a Butterfly was considered better than Good Kid, Mad City. Tribe Called Quest, Low End Theory. Mobb Deep, The Infamous. LL Cool J, Bigger and Deffer. Marshall Mathers LP, which everybody will be up in arms about if that's true or not. Tupac, Strictly for My Niggas. What else? I don't want to name all of them. ATLiens. The Clips, Hell Hath No Fury, which I know a couple people feel a certain way about that. The J. Cole, Born Sinner is on here. Too Bad Blues not around. But there's a bunch of them on this particular list.
I know.
But go ahead, AJ. Go ahead, spark it up.
Oh, well, I just want to say it's your boy Blue. Just because he's not fucking here, can we hit the womp womp right quick? Because you need to be here right now.
One time we're gonna let him praise J. Cole and not slander him.
Yes, I know. He could have been the only one to contest that shit, because I love that album in comparison to that first long-ass thing he put out. I have 3 points of argument and fuck this whole list with these 3 points. Good Kid, Mad City. What the fuck? The clips Hell Hath No Fury, and the only reason I rescind this one is because me and Joe had a conversation off air. God damn it, he was right, because boy, I was going off of the things that were in my head, and I was remembering that they were on the first album as opposed to Hell Hath No Fury. Alrighty. And the other one was ATLians, because I feel as though if we are to refer to just these 2 albums, Outkast's first album, Southern Playalistic Cadillac Music, and ATLians, then this would be correct. But my thing is, I know the whole Outkast catalog, and like that wouldn't be like. But anyway, if we were stay within the realms of this discussion, yes, you're right. I think that second album would be better than the first. Now, To Pimp a Butterfly is life. It is the savior of it's that shit that I said that we need to do better. It's that we need to do better good shit, right? But Good Kid, Mad City is a classic, in my opinion. And I feel as though this album, To Pimp a Butterfly, is mandated for life, Good Kid, Mad City, I feel as though was a better project.
Thank you for letting AJ go first. That way nobody would slander me for saying bad things about To Pimp a Butterfly. Even though they probably still will. I thought Born Sinner deserved it. I thought Cadillactica definitely deserved it because Crit's first album was abysmal. Marshall Mathers LP for sure. ATLians for sure. Low End Theory for sure. I know AJ said LL Cool J bad. I kind of agree with that. But they were missing some, and there were definitely like clips. You're not topping Lord Willin'. Fucking, they opened the album by saying "Play as we ain't the same. I'm into cane and guns." Like. How do you even top that on the next album? Like, you can't. Like,
with that Lil Wayne diss?
Yeah, and the Lil Wayne diss, maybe. But you have songs like I'm Not You. You have Malice spitting a top 5 verse of all time on that song. You have Virginia. You have just Comedy Central. There are just tons of songs that are cohesively better than Hell Hath No Fury. I think that was the only one I really had a problem with, was Hell Hath No Fury being better than Lord Willin'.
All right, okay. Me personally, like as far as going down the list and everything, there was some that I didn't have an opinion on. Like LL Cool J's, I haven't listened to both of the albums through and through.
The Tupac
same thing for Mob. Yeah, I haven't. Well, I have listened to 2 Tupac ones, but I better not say my opinion on those right now because that'll start the Tupac Biggie apocalypse conversation again.
Don't do it.
I'm not going to do it.
Don't do
it. Mobb Deep, I also haven't listened to both of those albums thoroughly, but I've probably heard every single song on both by this point. Marshall Mathers LP. I get into arguments with people about that all the time. People that think Slim Shady LP is better. They're both good. It's a win-win regardless. But I feel like Marshall Mathers was a stronger album.
That was the one where Eminem took off. Was Marshall Mathers LP.
It's the one where he created a monster.
Basically. And then like Yellow Wolf's Love Story.
Yes.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because the first one was so fucking shit. So like when you have the ones like this where you're like yeah, of course the sophomore album it was better because the first it's not an argument like this one was good, but this one was great. No, the first Syllables album was so shit. I mean, that's why his first album was kind of boring compared to his mixtapes. And the second album, Cadillactica, not to take anything away from it, it was easily better than the first. And Cadillactica just turned out to be absolutely phenomenal.
Well, the best thing to say about this entire thing is that Cole's first album sucked. Let's put it in nice terms. It sucked.
No.
It was super radio top 40 friendly.
And then Born Center, he was allowed to do what he wanted to.
And you could tell. And it was so much better.
I'm going to disagree with it sucking. It wasn't as good as the second album, but it didn't suck.
That joke was trash boat, dog.
Trash boat.
Trash boat. Richard Bailey.
Oh, very interesting that I will be the one to go last because I got some very controversial stuff to say about this one.
Oh, Lord.
So, anybody who is still listening, if you're sensitive to hear some of this stuff, I would advise you not to listen from here on out.
Break some hearts.
First and foremost, Ass Up Rocky. At all ass. Listen, I know a lot of people like that album, but man, that album put me to sleep. The whole first half put me to sleep. I woke up in the second half, but man, I didn't listen to the first album. Judging by this album here, maybe it's a good thing I didn't listen to the first one. So let's move on to the next person. Big Crit. I actually enjoyed that album. I heard some of his older stuff. I'm going to go ahead and say right now, I didn't listen to the first album, but I did enjoy this album. I know it took a while for him to drop this album, but I appreciate him dropping it because it was good. Nice soulful tone. Some of the music he had in there. You had Raphael Sadiq as well. I'm a fan of that, so 2 thumbs up.
So dope. So fire.
Next up, Kendrick. Okay, I've listened to Good Kid, Mad City, and while I will say that album definitely a classic, I kind of feel like a lot of artists, they put out their first album. The first album is like, that's when they're, it's very hard for someone to put out an excellent sophomore album. However, To Pimp a Butterfly, arguably the most important album, I would say, of the two, for many reasons. So
because every nigga is a star.
There you go. You took the words out of my mouth because I can't say that. I got to be a little bit more,
Oh, not AJ.
No, I gotta be proper. I still got my business shirt on. So yeah, Tribe Called Quest. Agreed. I have no complaints with that. Mobb Deep. Yeah. I agree. That's pretty accurate. LL Cool J. Didn't really listen to a lot of his older stuff. So I don't really have an opinion on that. The Eminem Marshall Mathers LP, I did listen to this. Yes, I listened to Eminem when he first debuted. I've been listening to all his music because my brother is a big fan of Eminem. I agree. This album was pretty good. Yeah, some dark stuff in there, but hey, I had no problem with that. Tupac, yeah, I guess. I mean, listen. To me, some of the stuff after this, people could say the sophomore album was better, but to me, some of his later music was always better than this stuff. But again, I don't want to start nothing. Just like Charles said, we don't want to start no controversy over that. Biggie and Tupac topic.
I'm on the edge.
Not gonna touch that. Beastie Boys, yeah. I mean, I haven't listened to a lot of their stuff, but just only the tracks everybody is familiar with, and I like those. I couldn't tell you which album they were on because, again, I haven't listened to a lot of their stuff, but I'm fine with that. Okay, Outkast. All right, listen. I got respect for that Elevator song. Okay, that's a classic. Good album. All right? But I've heard a lot of their other stuff, and I think that stuff is 20 times better than this album. Now, I know they had
the first album better than this album, though.
That's a tough question.
See, that's the question. That is the question.
That is the question. I mean, here's the thing. They had to make that first album to make all these other ones, so I will say it is important. That album was good for what it was, but they grow so much more over each album. It's like it's very hard to say it is the best of the best. I mean, I don't know. That's an opinion that a lot of people will have. We'll probably talk about that more when we talk about, we have a topic about Outkast on a future show. But in my opinion, this album was good. Listen, that Liberation song on the album afterward, though.
Yes,
that song,
absolute fire.
Everything about that song, fire. So, like I said, some of the other stuff I like, the older stuff. I mean, the more stuff that came after this, but I'll say ATL Aliens is that's cool. Ghostface, yeah, it's good. I haven't listened to this whole album in its entirety. It was good, but if it was better than the first, I don't know, man. I like Ghostface Killer. I like a lot of his stuff better than I like Raekwon's last album because that album was trash. But
did you like the Ghostface album that was released this year under Action Bronson?
Oh, I wasn't aware of this album.
You're an asshole. You are an asshole. No, he's being a dick.
Yeah, he is. Yeah, he is. All right, here we go. The clips. Now, Grinding. Wasn't that on the first album, or was it on this album?
It was on the first album.
Okay, so that's all I know. I don't know what the second album is.
What?
Yes, I have not listened to anything from the second album. Now, Now, maybe you can tell me a single that was on the second album, and then maybe I heard the single. I know I didn't listen to the whole album. So,
Mama, I'm so sorry.
Well, hey, this is a situation where perhaps the first album was good. The second album I don't know if it was better or not. I just know Pusha T, his career has never been the same. So let's move on to the next person, Mr. J. Cole. Yes. Too bad Luis is not here. The song with Nas is great. Let's go ahead and say that. But once again, this album, I thought it was good. If you're going to ask me, the most recent album, 2014 Forest Hills Drive, a little bit better because some of the songs on there I like a little bit more. I do like the Nas song on this album, so I said okay. But to me, Forest Hills was better. De La Soul, yeah, I didn't listen to this album. I listened to a lot of singles, so I don't have an opinion on that. And Mr. Yellow Wolf, I haven't listened to this album. I heard the first album was trash because Charles said it was trash. So I'm going to go ahead and say, well, maybe this second album, maybe this is, a step up from being trash. I haven't listened to it yet, so I don't have an opinion. Maybe next week I'll have something to say about it.
Well, that's another album that Luis could have defended if he was on here.
I know, because he's been listening to that bitch nonstop.
Wow. Okay. Well, I have something to say about that next week. And if I don't like it, I'm going to go after Luis on the next show.
Yeah, just because he was absent.
Were there, now, throw out some albums that y'all feel should have been on this list.
Trap music.
Trap music, definitely.
Take Care.
Take Care.
Take Care what?
Yeah, Take Care was way better than Thank Me Later.
He said take care of what?
And actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, To Pimp a Butterfly shouldn't have been on this fucking list. Because for one, it's not the second album.
Yeah, wasn't Kid Mad City?
Stop.
Wasn't
what?
Second album?
They're going by major label.
Because that wouldn't be considered his first album. That was the issue that I had with J. Cole's situation. Because if we consider J. Cole's mixtape to be his first album, then that means To Pimp a Butterfly should not have been mixed.
But the thing is, J. Cole didn't release his mixtape as an album. Section 80 was an album. Like, it was on iTunes and everything. It just wasn't major label, like Joe said.
Yeah, they're just going by major label.
Yeah, Friday Night Lights and Come Up and Warm Up, those weren't albums.
Those were free.
$3.99.
Okay, so what? So then, why was if they were free, then why was J. Cole's born singer supposed to be considered his sophomore album?
Because the first album was an album.
World was the first album.
Sideline Story was the first album.
Oh, and that's the one you said was trash? Hold on. So, isn't that the one that had Lost Ones on it?
No. Lost Ones was on
Friday Night Lights.
Yeah, that was on Friday Night Lights. Man, you skipped this whole first album?
Yeah, okay. Well, then never mind. Because I was going to say that was the only reason I was defending it. There were like 4 songs from that, not a Sideline Story, the shit that Cold World or something like that. There was like 4 songs from that I was like, damn, how are you saying that was trash? But I guess it's because I skipped that album.
Yeah, because Mr. Nice Watch is on that album, and so is the Workout single, and so is the Trey Songz song, even though I like that Trey Songz single, but yeah, those are all on there. So.
I feel like Lupe Fiasco's The Cool should have been on that list.
Bingo.
Yeah, I agree with that.
If that is better than Food and Liquor.
What about Word of Mouth?
I would say yes. I would actually agree that Luda's second album was better than the first.
Yeah. I love the first album.
It's like Outkast where it's a win-win regardless. But
yeah, but that second album was just straight up amazing.
Who else?
All right, let me throw this out there because I see it on Twitter all the time.
Here we go.
It Was Written.
Oh, you know I agree.
You know what's funny is like I had never seen anybody say that It Was Written was greater than Illmatic until I got on Twitter.
Yeah. I kept that shit to myself. before Twitter and even early on Twitter, I kept that to myself because people worship Illmatic, and it's not a bad album by any stretch of the imagination. But I enjoy It Was Written more than I do.
Well, the problem
Illmatic.
is that the legend of Illmatic outweighs the actual content of Illmatic.
Exactly. And he opened up a big lane, paved such an incredible path and stuff, and he's done some great things. But as far as music goes, I enjoyed It Was Written more. I loved them both, but It Was Written, I feel, was a better album. It had like Illmatic classic tracks on there for sure, and it flows better from beginning to end. But I feel like there's some more intense songs that I enjoy on a higher level on It Was Written. For example, that cut with him and Dre, that shit knocks. And like there wasn't a song like that on Illmatic for me at all.
Yeah.
And then The Firm before it flopped. The Firm track was sick as shit. Well, what other artists did better on the second? Kanye, Registration more than College Dropout.
You said Kanye West.
Mm-mm.
You said Kanye West.
Nope.
I like Registration more than College Dropout.
I will never, ever Dropout is inferior to Late Registration.
Listen, I want to say Late Registration is my favorite of his albums that he's ever put out. However, that first album is his greatest work.
I hear you, man. I just think Late Registration was better. They're both incredible, but I got to give the nod on Late Registration.
Can I also mention Nellyville?
Ooh.
Was that number 2?
I don't know. Yeah, that was number 2. Country Grammar was number 1.
I would have to agree. I love Nellyville. I played the shit out of that album.
See, I don't know. I think Country Grammar had more hits on it.
It did.
We're just going by straight these are statements. Country Grammar, in my opinion, is a far better album. However, Nellyville, as a complete body of work, was more successful in my opinion.
I feel the opposite. I feel like Country Grammar was hot. Nellyville had the singles on it, but the songs that were not singles on Nellyville, I felt were a lot better than the songs that weren't singles on Country Grammar. That's why I enjoy it more so from beginning to end. Country Grammar had the hits, like the hardest shit.
I want to ask AJ this one though.
Here we go.
Is UGK's sophomore album better than their first album?
Nope. Fuck no.
No.
I was thinking about that earlier, dog. No bullshit. No, because that first album had Murder on it, and that's one of my favorite fucking songs of all time.
And the first album's Too Hard to Swallow, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Too Hard to Swallow, and then Riding Dirty. Or is there one in between there? I can't remember if there's one in between there.
Well, as far as I know, from what I've been provided, and this is going off of like, all right, so this is a sad truth to have to admit. The way that I got introduced, there is one in between, but the way that I got introduced to UGK was backwards, and it was from my brother because like my brother, he had UGK like in his shit at all times, right? So the one in between is Super Tight, and like Tight. Super Tight is kind of skipped over in comparison, but Too Hard to Swallow and Riding Dirty. Shit, I'm thinking about it. Riding Dirty was the one that had Murder on it, so let me just shut up.
That liquor done kicked all the way in now.
Yeah, my bad. Yeah,
he's done for.
I'm trying to think of like some other people.
I got a question for you. Since you already spoke about Tupac earlier, no one decided to talk about Life After Death and Ready to Die?
They weren't his second albums though.
The second album was Life After Death.
Yeah, Biggie's Ready to Die, and then Life After Death.
Oh, my bad.
No, I wouldn't personally. I think Ready to Die, it just, you could throw, like, Life After Death has some skippable tracks. Ready to Die doesn't really have that feeling for me.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna comment because it'll make me start talking about Tupac again, and we're gonna have a problem.
Don't do it. I gotta go to bed soon. Don't do it.
Any last minute? Any last words? I think we've listed all the people that we're gonna list.
No, I think
unless y'all can think of some more.
I'm trying. I was thinking about this earlier because I was writing them all down. And I got to 50 Cent, and I was just like, "There's no way that people think that the Massacre is better than Get Rich."
Whoa!
Massacre was something that you could legitimately wipe your ass with and flush down the toilet.
15 cents.
Massacre was so weak. My
Massacre
goodness. Talk about overflowing with filler bullshit, man.
Yeah. Massacre was like when you boil hot water to make tea, and then you take the tea bag, dip it in for 2 seconds, and pull that bitch out. That's how strong the tea.
He pulled that analogy out his ass. He was ready for that one.
Oh, man.
The Game's second album was definitely not better than his first one either.
I don't know. I kind of enjoyed that one a little more.
I did too. I was like,
I enjoyed the second one. Shit, fuck that. Documentary was so much better than me.
Nah, I can't co-sign that.
Tripping.
Because hated or love with the underdogs on top. Now let me stop.
Anybody else? Anybody got any last additions?
Oh yeah, that'll be a good laugh.
All right, so I got one last one. You
got one last one. Go ahead.
Chronic.
What the hell? Wait, hold on. Who?
Son of a bitch.
Chronic 2001.
Yep. Certified.
That's Dr. Dre.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why he's thinking about it. Certified, Charles. Stop it.
The gap ain't wide between the two albums. That's why I got to think about it, because the first one was fucking amazing and the second one.
You stop this. Certified, because listen.
My opinion. You stop
it. Ain't about the gap. It's not about the gap. It's about the works of art. Certified, dog.
I'm sticking with the first one.
I gotta go with Chronic 2 just because of Explosive.
It's because today's the day and tomorrow's new.
Listen. My shit's the bomb, explosive. That's the song, right? Yeah.
Hey, listen.
I was going to say something about a gas
can, but, you know. We are going to end it. Any last words from everybody before we shut this down? AJ?
Swag.
Jehovah?
JohovasMF.com. Make sure you check it out, and some of the posts that I've been doing on thecoalition.com.
Rich.
Oh, no final words. Shout outs to everybody.
Word up. Hit the donation annotation in the top right. Hit the follow on the web on the YouTube. Hit thecoalition.com. Check the post. Hit our comment section. We'd like to hear some feedback. Let us know what you think of the show. Let us know if you want us to talk about specific things on the show. We will try to address those specific things. Let us know if you feel that Dre's Chronic 2001 was better than the first Chronic. Let us know if you feel that way, because apparently a couple other people do. But we will see you next time on the Knights of the Turntable podcast. The definitive hip-hop podcast, motherfuckers.
Woo!